Excellent, great. Thank you, Nick. Yeah, thank you and welcome to Computer Systems Technician. Basically, we've got a nice 2-year program that, it's one of those things, it's nice, it's hands-on, it's an interactive program. And I do have to say that we were fortunate enough in the fall of last year the majority of our programs were hybrid. And we are hoping to have that again this fall as well too. So some programs may be completely online, some may be hybrid, and hopefully if public health keeps everything the way that it was, then we should looking to be hybrid again, which is nice because we get that interaction with the students live and in person, and you get to interact with us and the equipment in the lab and everything that you do here in CST. So I'd like to start off with basically a little slide deck that I'll get Nicholas to throw that up if you don't mind, and we'll walk through that. And then after that, partway through, I'll introduce Nathan. He's one of our second year students in CST, and I'll let him speak a bit about the program and college as well. And then from there, a little video, some highlights, and then of course we go into questions and answers that you guys might have for us. So, Computer Systems Technician, like I said, it's a 2-year program, very much a hands-on program. So you'll be doing a lot of work in the lab, as well as a combination of theory, and obviously there's going to be a good online component to it this year coming up. But sorry, just making sure I can control the slide. There we go. As Nicholas said, I'm Jim Schinkel. I'm a professor and program coordinator for CST. CST is in the School of Media, so we are not part of the School of Technology. We're actually part of the School of Media, and it's a very good fit for us because we do a lot with the other programs within media. We work with the computer programming department, and there's a lot of integration between what they do and what we do. Even though you don't really see that on the front end, there's actually quite a bit on the back end that we do together. And it helps us keep our programs in line, and things such as web development courses, programming courses, Powershell, things such as that. A lot of the content comes over from the programming department for CST. So a lot of people always question, why are we not in the School of Technology? It's just really, it's an integration issue. I guess I shouldn't say issue, but it works out better for us being in the School of Media as opposed to being in the School of Technology. Although that there's no issues with the School of Technology. They share our lab with us, and we have a lot of fun teasing the CET students. So some friendly banter between us. But with CST, where you can find us, of course, on the Niagara College website, under the media programs and computer systems network cloud link. You'll find us there, and there's a lot of reference material, program highlights, and things such as that on the website. So some of the things that we cover in CST, we cover computer and server hardware. So we go right to the basics. So step one, for computer hardware, you'll be tearing down workstations, learning all the different components about the hardware for both servers and computer workstations. And then from there, we look at the operating system side. So we cover both hardware and software. Typical operating systems that we deal with, we've got Windows 10, Server 2012, Server 2016, and we also cover various Linux operating systems as well too. So you'll get comfortable with installing, manipulating, and securing the different operating systems that we'll work in. One of the things that I will say about working with the operating systems, we do it both in a physical and in a virtual environment. So you'll become comfortable working with the operating systems, both physically and virtually. And then another huge component within CST is the network routing and switching. So networking is a very large component. Right off the bat, right in first year, it's the primary program or course within CST. It is the networking fundamentals, and you'll learn switch topologies, routing, VLANs, a whole bunch of different things, right to making cables and setting up your own network within the lab, either within our lab here in V111, which is our main networking lab, or over in L17, which is the lab that we use. It's a virtual lab that you can sit there and set up virtual machines and other environments. We also cover firewalls and network security. So hardening firewalls, configuring firewalls, and also looking at different security environments for them. We want to look at security for both internal and external to your network. And then we also configure virtual private networks as well too. So whether we're dealing with things up in the cloud, or if we're dealing with them in our own private network in the lab, we do look at setting up virtual private networks and connecting them together. And then hypervisors and virtual machines. So a lot of what we do is with virtual machines. It gives us the advantage that we can run pretty much any operating system, and we use both type 1 and type 2 hypervisors. So as far as our servers that we have here in the lab, we have several different options as far as hypervisors go for that. We can use VMware, we can use Citrix Zen Server, we can configure Microsoft Hyper-V, but then also on our workstations we use Oracle VirtualBox, and that allows us to install many different operating systems, and we can configure many different networks virtually using the hypervisors, and it gives us a wide breadth of options that we can choose. And then we look at cloud computing, so both with public, private, and hybrid cloud technologies. So part of the second year program, what they do is they look at AWS as far as cloud computing goes, and we actually integrate the AWS public cloud with our private cloud that we create here in the lab, and using the VPNs, the virtual private networks, we connect the two together, and we're able to transfer data back and forth between the two, set up different servers, different operating systems, and move data around. And in that second year program, the last portion of the term is configuring your own network, and that's the capstone project. And you actually configure your public and private network together and create a hybrid of the two, and configuring everything from stem to stern within that network. So Active Directory, setting up user shares, creating the network, setting up your firewalls, the virtual private networks between remote offices. So there's a lot of things that the program covers, and that project at the end encapsulates everything. So we try and take all the little bits and pieces that you learn over the course of the 2 years and put them all into one large capstone project. And that'll cover the integration of your private network with the public AWS network that's available. Is CST a good choice? In my opinion, yes, it is. It's lots of fun. There's lots of things that we get to do and play around with, and it's enjoyable. We try and make sure that our students enjoy what they do and have fun doing it. And by doing so, we're using experiential learning. You learn by doing, building, and playing. And one of the things that I try to let the students know is it's okay to make mistakes in the lab, because that's part of learning and it's part of the fun of learning. You can sit there and put a server together and realize you've typed in something wrong and you have to fix it or learn to troubleshoot it. and make those corrections as you go along. So that's the beauty of experiential learning, is you actually learn by doing. And so you'll get to rack up a server, configure the operating system on it, and then put whatever apps or whatever the project might be, or the lab might be that you're working on, and get it working. And yes, sometimes there's bumps in the roads trying to get there, but that's part of the fun of doing it, right? So focus on troubleshooting and problem solving. IT is an industry where troubleshooting skills and problem solving skills are greatly, it's something that you'll use quite often. And so we try and put an emphasis on thinking dynamically, trying to figure out what the problem is, and solving that problem. It's not straightforward. Most issues in IT never are. So you get to deal with the end user, trying to figure out what their problem is and building out a solution for that. And so it doesn't matter if that person is somebody within the company that you're going to be working for. It may be somebody within your family. Having those troubleshooting and problem solving skills will help bolster your future in IT. Thinking dynamically and be able to see through the problem, that's something that we like to help build in with our students. As I was mentioning before, that the Cloud Systems Integration Project in Term 4, you get to implement your own heterogeneous, multi-site, multi-service, client-oriented hybrid cloud solution. Okay, there's a whole mouthful there, but that capstone project at the end of Term 4 really is the most fun part, especially for me, of the CST program. So you take all those little bits and pieces of knowledge that you accumulate through the first 3 terms, and you conglomerate them into one large project. And I have to say, it's pretty rewarding to see how all these things come together, and those aha or light bulb moments that our students have, where they realize, oh, that's how I take these pieces and put them together and actually create a solution that a lot of these things that they do, they will be using in the future. So when they start their rollout into the world and get their first jobs, a lot of these skills and techniques that they've used, they'll be able to use them going forward. So the project in Term 4 it's lots of fun. At least for me anyways. I know it's a little bit more stressful for the students, and Nathan may attest to that. But it's fun, and it's exciting to do. And the one thing that we do have in CST is we do have excellent job placements and satisfaction, both for the employers and for the students that we have. Currently, we have about 92% employment rate in the IT field. And I do know that we just had several of our students who picked up jobs recently. So once they graduate, they actually have employment to move forward to. So, and I know Nathan was one of those students as well too. So we do have tie-ins with industry partners, both within the region and outside of the region, and we do try and touch base with them and try and keep those relationships strong, because we do have several employers who love hiring CST students because they know the level of student that they're going to have, and it makes them easy to put them into jobs going forward. So just want to talk a little bit about the lab that we have. So the CST program, we run out of V111, so we're in the Voyager block of Niagara College in the Welland campus. And so this lab is a network solutions lab. So it's geared for networking. And we have 4 student racks in the lab. And as you can see by the picture here, we've got punch down blocks up at the top. We have some network switches down below. And what we do with those network switches is we configure them any which way we need to for the labs that we're dealing with. So something you will be directly working with the gear in these racks. We have wireless access points. We have Cisco routers, KVM boxes, and then we have a couple servers down at the bottom. And then right at the very bottom down there, we have a battery backup as well too, so that you learn different ways to configure battery backups and the software that goes along with them. One of the things that you can't see in the picture here, there's also Synology NASes, so network attached storage, where we actually pull our labs from, and any software images and things like that that we need to run in the labs, we use the NASes for that. So we have compute, we have storage, we have networking, we have routing. Firewalls we typically do in virtual machines. So we have a whole integrated solution in the lab, and you get to play with this gear that we have. One of the things I do have to say is currently on the floor in my office, I have 5 brand new 10 gigabit Cisco networking switches. So I will have to change this slide up because I will be changing out some of the networking gear that are in our racks for the fall. So we did get this new gear this year, so that'll be a lot of fun to play with. So what we're looking to do is try and bring 10 gig networking to the desktop in the lab, and that way we can look at speeds above 1 gig. So like I said, we get to use all this different equipment. You get to wire it up and configure it and learn how it functions, and how you can use that in your everyday IT life. So wanted to talk a bit about the faculty that we have in CST. So currently, Vincent Shape is our Dean of Media, Trades, and Technology. He is the head of media, and he has a nice IT background. He used to work at Bell Canada. He was an associate dean at Humber College in their technology division, and he's moved over to Niagara College in the last few years, and he's been a fantastic addition. He's a great supporter of the CST program, and so he's been crucial in looking at getting us new gear and new technologies to play with. So Vincent's fantastic, and he's been a great addition to Niagara College and helping to promote the CST program and to help us build and develop as well too. Currently, we have our associate dean, Linda Root, is retiring. So at the moment, we will not have a new associate dean until her replacement has been found. But Linda as well has been instrumental in supporting the CST program and making sure that everything runs as smooth as possible, including through COVID. She's been a great supporter, helping us present in a hybrid fashion, making sure the lab is safe for the students and the staff, and that we have all the protocols in place that we need to make sure that everybody is safe and that we're following the public health guidelines. And the fact that we can work on the racks in the lab and actually be able to touch and feel and play with everything that we normally would in the year has been very important. So I do want to thank Linda for all of her help and contributions to the CST program, because she has been an amazing support. And there is a lot of support within Niagara College, not just from the faculty and administration, but it is a large community within Niagara College, and it is a tight one as well too. So it is one of the nice things about Niagara College and the environment that we're in. So as far as some of our courses go, and the faculty that teach into our courses, starting off with hardware fundamentals, we have Luke Beaulieu. Luke is he is an industry member. He's been doing IT for approximately 15 years, so he has lots of experience. Luke teaches not only the hardware fundamentals, but he does teach the PowerShell scripting program course as well too. and so he is fantastic at showing students the basics, getting them into the hardware, and then progressing them forward. So Luke is a great addition to our team that we brought on in the last couple of years. Sheldon teaches the operating systems and software. Again, another part-time faculty member who's been teaching in the School of Media for a number of years. And he brings a breadth of experience, works for Meridian Credit Union. And so he has a lot of experience with dealing with not only operating systems, but also with NAS and storage units as well too. We have Hassan Uzman. He was a former CST graduate. He was actually one of the first graduates out of the CST program that when it ran in its first year. He's teaching the Network Fundamentals course, and Hassan currently works for Evertz up in Burlington, and he's a project manager for them. And he's a great fellow to have with us in the CST program. He understands the program from stem to stern and the requirements of the networking fundamentals, because it is the core of the program. So he completely understands what the students need and to get those basics of networking and what the fundamentals are, because everything stems from the network. And so understanding that will lead to a greater understanding of how everything interconnects within CST. We have Chris Bowman over from the programming department, teaching the web authoring fundamentals. We have Mr. Charles Voth, teaching communications for media studies. Zhang Rainey is doing the mathematics. Luke, like I said, is doing scripting and automation, so our PowerShell course. We have Mark Tizard, who's teaching the open source networks and applications. Mark he's an Niagara College grad as well. He came out of the computer engineering program before CST had started, and so he teaches the Linux-based courses. I had the privilege of working with Mark prior to either of us coming to the college. We worked together at Niagara Health, and he is a networking genius, I have to say. He knows his stuff, and he's really good with dealing with networks and Linux-based operating systems. So he's a pleasure to work with. I call him my grizzly bear, and so hopefully you'll get to meet him and see him. Eugenia, she's in our project management course. She's been teaching project management for approximately 20 years, both at Niagara College and Humber College and a few other colleges as well too. So she has lots of experience in project management, and she's been teaching project management for IT for a number of years. So trying to get a little bit of that insight into project management, because it is a part of IT that most people don't understand. IT runs on timelines. Most things that companies do are based on small projects. Sometimes they're large, sometimes they're small. But project management, having an understanding of that is a key component of CST, so that you can use that moving on in the future. You may not go into a project management role, but at least you'll have the fundamentals and understanding of good project management. For myself, I am teaching the networking cloud security and the emerging tech courses. So both second-year programs for CST. So I don't necessarily get to work with first-year students all that much, but come the second year, you guys will have me for quite a few of the courses. And I like to say that they're the fun ones to teach. So, and then from there we have Derek Eves, who does the business technical writing courses as well too. So that's just a brief introduction into some of the faculty that we have. And then I'd like to turn it over to Nathan Ian, He is our second year student in the CST program, and I will let Nathan take over his portion and give you a little introduction on himself.
Thanks, Jim. So I was just given a few points to talk about for about the college and the program. So why I chose Niagara College in particular. I chose it because A, it was pretty close to home, as well as B, I heard a lot of good things about this program. And this actually helped a lot more than I initially thought because it was close to home, I was saving money on not having to move out to a new city that I didn't know. But it also saved me an opportunity cost to be able to work full time while doing the program as well. So I didn't have to miss out on the job that I had already held. So for Niagara College, one of the things that I really like about the school, it sounds like I'm being paid to say this, but I genuinely believe that the faculty are great. Many of them have gone above and beyond to actually educate, but also mentor. And in the field of IT, it's all about networking, no pun intended. So this networking actually helped me, like Jim said, secure a job for when I'm already finished the program. So I actually start like a week after the program ends, which is pretty exciting. I know a lot of programs can't say the same thing. I personally work with a lot of people that have graduated from other programs and are still not quite in their field yet, which is no knock to them, but it's just a great point for CST in particular. Additionally, the CST Lab is actually a great learning environment as well. Jim actually showed a brief picture of a part of it, but it's a great way to learn networking in a vacuum, which has been super helpful. There's a lot of concepts to understand, and being able to segment them like that is a great resource. And then the last point I wanted to touch on was the transition to online learning and that experience in general. So naturally, it's a pretty difficult transition, especially because I went from the full-time in the school to hybrid and then to fully online. So there's a lot of transitioning back and forth. I'm sure Jim went through similar difficulties trying to set things up. But to be honest, it was actually a great learning experience to go fully online because in a real environment, you're typically working remote into the server anyways. Not many people have access to the network hardware or the server itself. So getting the experience to administer networks remotely has been pretty cool. We've been doing our whole capstone project or capstone project, is that what you're calling it? I can't remember. The integration project fully online, which is very, very interesting to say the least. But it's what you're going to see in industry for the most part. So, yeah. Those are the points that I was given.
No, that's great. Thank you, Nathan. And yeah, it is one of those things that going through the COVID process, we all had to transition. And the students had to transition. Everybody had to make that transition. So those challenges that everybody has to go through, it's all fortunately part of the learning process. It helps teach you those troubleshooting skills because you're running into things that you would have never had to deal with before. But you know what? You might have to deal with them in the future. And obviously, with what has gone on, remote learning and remote working is going to be part of life. Obviously, some people will be in the workplace, some people will be working from home or from remote offices. And that part of the integration of things, we actually remote directly into the lab. So we've set up a firewall, Everybody's got open VPN software on their workstations at home or on their computers, laptops, desktops, whatever they're using at home, and we connect into an RDP server so that we can connect to resources in the lab. We're fortunate that we can do that. We have the hardware, we have the gear, and we can connect in here. Actually, I missed a few points about some of the things in the lab. We actually have a blade chassis in the back room of the lab. A Dell blade chassis. We have a storage server with a 9 terabyte SAN in there as well too. So if we didn't have a lot of this equipment, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things that we can do remotely. Because when you're physically in the lab and you're working at the racks, that's easy enough. There's actually technically 5 racks. There's 1 rack that is a teacher's rack. So when the students are working in the lab, they can work on all 5 of those racks. But in this remote environment, having that blade chassis and those 8 additional blade servers, that's a huge advantage to us because all the students can work on their projects remotely and still meet all of the requirements that we have in the project. There's very little that I actually had to change as far as the requirements go for that capstone project due to the fact of the equipment that we have. Obviously, the physical hands-on portion, those are some of the things that we had to change in the project, but everything else, the core components of it are all there. So it's no different than if the students were physically in the lab or working remotely. They're able to meet and do all of those articles that we had in the capstone project. So we're fortunate for having that equipment, and we are gaining more as well too. So I do have a couple extra blade servers coming in the future to help bolster what we have currently. So again, thank you very much, Nathan. I know you are part of that group of CST students. I have to say, I was thinking about this earlier this morning, and I know Nathan graciously volunteered to join us, but I could have pretty much asked any student in the class, and I know they would have volunteered and come on and help with the virtual open house. So. Like I say, it's a community, and I was thinking though that it's funny because you were the first group of students, and I had the opportunity to teach you guys in first year, and they actually had cue cards when there was a test, and they'd be in the lab practicing the test with cue cards and asking each other questions and going over things before tests and like a large study group basically, which was kind of fun. And it's nice to see that you guys took the initiatives for yourselves and just kind of came up with something fun and to work on before the test. So it'd be always funny seeing Simon sitting there with the cards, and you guys shouting out answers and him asking questions and stuff like that. So the camaraderie in the class is a lot of fun. It's a little more muted online, but it is still fun. You guys light up the chat quite a bit. So again, thank you very much, Nathan, for that.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
No, thank you. So I do have a brief video here. So this was taken a few years ago in the lab. So the lab has changed a little bit from this video. We replaced the workstations the other year, but you can kind of get a little view of what the lab looks like. Some of the students working in the lab. So I'm not going to play the whole video because it does loop through after about 3-4 minutes. So I'm going to play a little segment of that. It just gives you a little visual into the lab, and you can see a couple of the professors as they were teaching and giving the lectures. So bring that up. There is no audio with this, so don't be surprised if you don't hear anything other than the sounds of my voice. But here you can see students are working in virtual machines on their workstations, running different operating systems, whether it be Linux or Microsoft-based operating systems. A quick little view of some of those racks, the networking gear, the punch down switches. We will fortunately have some new gear in here, so we'll be looking at Cisco switches, as well as the HPs that we have currently. You see they're working in Zen server here, setting up different hypervisors, run their guest operating systems on. Yes, there are new chairs in there, so they are better than the chairs that we had previously. Oops, sorry about that. There we go. Get back to the previous slide. There we go. So that just gives you a little glimpse into the lab and seeing some of the students work and the environment that they're working in. The networking lab does hold 20 students, so we cap our class sizes at 20, specifically for the reason that we don't want the class to be too large, because it does get difficult to work with a large number of students. And we like to have that personal touch where everybody can be working together in the lab. So like I said, so there's 20 workstations, so maximum class size is 20, and then we'll have multiple sections of classes for each course. As Nicholas has said here, we've got 15 minutes left, so I'll wrap this up quickly, and then that way we can have some time for Q&A. So here's just a quick list of some of the employers that our students have moved on to after completing the CST program. And so some of these employers here that you see, they also, we have what's called a PAC, Program Advisory Council. And so a lot of these employers from the region are also on that Program Advisory Council. So we get industry input into the content that we provide for the program, so that we can always make sure that we're trying to suit the needs of industry with what we are teaching our students. So we have a great deal of feedback coming from these members of industry into our PAC committee, and that way we can make sure that we are incorporating things that they need. And also some of our professors do come from these companies as well too. Former Niagara College students and other industry members help to make up our team as well. And some of the job titles that our students typically have coming out of CST, moving into the field. So like I said, we just have a list of job titles here. And I do believe that is my last slide. It is. So with that being said, CST, there is a ton of information and a ton of knowledge that you will learn about IT, right from hardware to software, networking, virtualization, cloud integration. The list kind of goes on and on and on. So it is a large amount of information in a short period of time, I like to say, but it's fun to watch and see how all those bits and pieces work together, and to see how the students pick them up and move forward and progress with them. And we do like to keep touch with our students to see how they are doing, so that we can get an idea of how we're your success is our success, basically. And so we like to keep touch and see where our students are moving to. I know we had some of the CST students move out to Manitoba last year, and they're doing IT work for the government in Brandon, Manitoba. So it's not just the region that we work in. We do try and provide students that global aspect as well too. So, but with that being said, I'll turn it back over to you, Nicholas, and I guess we can do our Q&A.
All right, we have one question here. So could the computer systems technician program be studied further into a university pathway?
It's so with the CST program, we base a lot of our guidelines off of industry accreditations. Specifically, as far as the university pathway goes, I'm not 100% certain. That is something that I would have to look into a little bit more. I'm truly not certain about that because it is a 2-year program. There are obviously elements that would carry forward and help with the university degree at that point, but I'm not 100% certain what the direct pathway would be. That's one of the student advisors or academic advisors might know that better than I would.
Yep. Also, I put one link in the chat here. So if you follow that link, you'll go to our pathways page. That web page acts as a pathway finder. So essentially, if you put in the computer systems technician program and you put outgoing, that'll basically show anything you can do after the program, kind of with that as a pathway into if there are any university degrees there. But once again, as Jim mentioned, your academic advisors, once you're in the program, they're always the go-to people, super helpful too.
Mm-hmm. No, that is definitely true. Yeah, I'm just looking at that quickly. Looks like Thompson Rivers University is part of that pathway.
Yes.
Yeah, so they give approximately 2 years of credits and take approximately 2 years to complete the degree. So no, that's very good.
Yep, I believe Thompson Rivers, I believe they're usually a fully online delivery there as well. I'm not 100% on that, but I can also fact check that. I also see another question in here. Is the program in class or online? Yeah, as Nathan mentioned, hybrid. Again, keep yourself posted for the fall 2021 intakes. There's no official announcements for any if the programs are in class or online yet. But obviously, as Jim and Nathan both mentioned, they have been doing a bit of hybrid learning, which means a little bit of online class and a little bit of in-class learning.
Yeah, there are a couple of the courses that are 100% online, specifically like the communications courses, mathematics, project management. So those we have kept out of the classroom and put those online. But the courses that are very much hands-on, those were the ones that we pushed for hybrid, and we were able to do that. So hopefully this fall again as well too, because we have requested those programs to be hybrid. And like I said, as long as public health cooperates and everybody stays safe and we minimize our COVID risk out in the wild, then and I think that we should be able to remain hybrid as we were previously. So I know the college's anticipation is to try and have as many courses back in the campus as possible. So obviously that we can't say for certain, but check the website because they will announce that once they can make those determinations. Right? So, and the one thing I did want to mention as well, like I was saying, we do try and model our programming off of industry accreditations. So if you did want to get things such as your A+ certification, your Network Plus, Security Plus from CompTIA, as well as the Linux Plus, you do have those opportunities because we give you a fantastic base point or reference point to do that. And then you can just do the additional learning and then take your exam. So we do that. If you want to go the Cisco route and get your CCNA or your CNA, there's a bunch of different Cisco options that you go through if you want to go in that direction. So we do try and base off of industry standards and their best practices, so that we can give you those the basics of going in. So it does give you that opportunity.
All right, perfect. All right, if there are no more questions, I will end it here. Again, if you think of any other questions throughout the day, we do have drop-in sessions going on as well. Or if you'd like to book one of our virtual tours or college exploration sessions, those are always open for days that are not today. So throughout our week, again, more than happy to help answer any questions there. But if not, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend.
My email's also part of the slide deck here as well too. Prospective students can contact me directly, and that way if they do have any other questions or whatnot, always feel free.
All righty. All right, sounds good. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Excellent.
Take care.
Take care.
Thanks, Nicholas. Thank you again,
Thank
Nathan.
you. Thank you.